Hey, good afternoon and evening, and welcome to the seventh annual and first ever virtual hashtag Black Women Lead reception. My name is Glenda Carr, and I am the president and CEO of Higher Heights for America. We are so excited to partner with Emerge, Vote Pro Choice, and Emily's List to bring you this amazing event tonight. We started the hashtag Black Women Lead reception back in 2013 to celebrate the accomplishments of Black women's leadership in electoral politics. This year, we will continue this tradition and are expanding to celebrate Black women leaders in activism. So let us know if you've ever attended one of our hashtag Black Women Lead receptions. They usually happen in the fall at the Congressional Black Caucus annual legislative conference. If you haven't watched or seen this before, let us know where you are watching from, what city, state, and hey, let us know what room you're watching from. It goes without saying that 2020 has been a year like none other. We've seen disproportionate impact of COVID-19 on our communities. We've protested, we've mourned the deaths of many unarmed Black people by law enforcement, including George Floyd and Breonna Taylor. But through all of these challenges, we've seen Black women continue to show up, to lead, to support, and transform our communities. This election cycle, a record number of Black women ran for elected office, and we are sending a record number of Black women to the House of Representatives. And millions of Black women showed up and showed out at the voting booths and by mailing in their voting ballots. Tonight, we're celebrating the legacy of our foremothers, women like Fannie Lou Hamer and Shirley Chisholm, who helped to create the pathway for us to collectively elect the first Black woman vice president, Kamala Harris. Tonight, we're going to take a moment to gather virtually and to celebrate these accomplishments and to highlight some of the incredible Black women leaders. Tonight, we're going to kick things off with my friend, Ashanti Golar, from the president of Emerge.
Thank you so much, Glenda, for your leadership and everything that you do. I just love you and appreciate you so much. Right. And hello, everyone. I'm Ashanti Golar. I am the president of Emerge. I took over this role in February of this year. I'm the first Black woman to lead the organization. And I'm excited for Emerge to once again be partnering on the Black Women Lead reception. And tonight, I get to talk with the phenomenal Congresswoman Lauren Underwood. I'm going to try not to fangirl too hard and embarrass myself. But Congresswoman, thank you so much for taking the time to join us tonight.
Hi, Ashanti. I'm so glad to be with you.
Oh, I'm excited to be with you. First and foremost, congratulations on your re-election. Twitter went crazy when the news broke. We knew that you would pull it out. And the first question I want to talk to you about is there's a documentary Surge Out, and it actually followed you during your 2018 race when you ran the first time. And you talk about running in a majority white district. And something we hear all the time is that people like us can't run, they can't win in these districts, and you've done it twice now, and several of your colleagues have also run and win in these districts. So what advice do you have for Black women who are living in these districts that think that they can't run and do it?
Oh, girlfriends, we need you to get involved. We need you to run. And so I think that we are especially skilled at building coalitions, building bridges, bringing people together. And it's something that, I've been doing throughout my career. And so doing it in the context of a campaign was not a stretch. I think that we have redefined what electability means, what viability means. We can raise the money. We can convince the voters. We have broad appeal. We have broad appeal. And now the gatekeeping organizations, the party committees, they're all recognizing this unique talent, and ability candidates of color are bringing. And, we are winning elections. When I look at the red to blue list from this year, I was so pleased to see the diversity of candidates because it demonstrates this recognition.
Absolutely. And when people say to me all the time, oh, Ashanti, women can't win. They're not electable. They're not viable. And I'm like, if that was the case, we wouldn't have any women in office.
Correct.
We wouldn't have any Black women in office. And looking towards the future, we have a new administration coming in. We have a new Congress with more Black women serving. What do you think it's going to be like when you get sworn in and you're surrounded by all these Black women? What are some of the things that you'll think that we'll see when we have more Black women at the table and some of the policies that will come out of the next Congress?
I'm so excited. 1 in 4 House Democrats will be African Americans. We have more Black women joining us in Congress. And we're going to see movement on key issues like our mommy bus to end the Black maternal health crisis in this country. For too long, for decades, we've had disparities of Black pregnant people dying at 3 to 4 times the rate of white women in this country, and it's unacceptable. We have a bipartisan solution, and we're ready to get it signed into law. And so I'm excited to see that type of legislation move forward now that we have a champion in Vice President-elect Kamala Harris, who was the Senate sponsor of our bill in this Congress. And I think that you're going to see more and more legislation to correct these longstanding disparities and a recognition that it's time.
I love always seeing the legislation that you put out, especially how you're able to talk about women's health care and maternal health care. It shows the importance of having diverse voices at the table. I say all the time, how lucky are we to have Congresswoman Underwood in Congress when women's health care is constantly being debated, to actually have someone who understands what is going on. So we don't have much time left with you, but before you leave, what key piece of advice do you have for Black women that are thinking about running for office?
Okay, so don't hesitate, jump in and do it. There are many different offices. You don't have to leave your job or your career to dedicate yourself full time to running. In my community in Illinois, we're heading into municipal elections, so nonpartisan elections for mayor, for city council, for park district and library board. We have townships in our communities, right? Those are opportunities to serve and to give back, but also to get great experience, leadership experience that could help inform any other positions that you're interested in seeking. I mean, I encourage people to seek out appointments. So here's the opportunity right now. We have a president-elect, they're hiring, and every state and governor makes appointments. Your mayor makes appointments. And so you can take your professional expertise and apply it in a public service setting. Everything does not have to be as disruptive as running for Congress to be able to make an impact on the communities that we all care about.
I love that you mentioned getting appointments to boards and commissions. It's something that is so overlooked, and it's a really great way to cut your teeth in politics, and you get to know the players who help make the decision, and it's just such a great path. Congresswoman, thank you for joining us. I can't wait to see everything that you do in the next Congress. We're just so lucky to have you. You're just a wonderful representative and all-around person. So thank you.
Thank you, Ashanti. Take good care of yourselves, everybody.
Awesome. All right, Glenda, back over to you.
Thank you, Ashanti. And yes, I was fangirling on Representative Lauren Underwood. Thank you for being a Black woman who leads. We're so excited about the next congressional session and what you will have in store for us. So, if you haven't told us where you've been watching from, let us know. And we would love to hear if you are a current elected official thinking about running for office. Drop in the chat. We'd love to hear if you are an elected official, both city, state, federal. Shout out where you are watching from. As I mentioned earlier this year, we were proud to acknowledge the leadership of Black women activists and change makers who have truly made a difference in 2020. To do this, I would like to introduce Tanya Williams, the Director of Strategic Communications for Emily's List.
Thank you so much, Glenda. I'm so glad to be here. I have the distinct honor of introducing our panel of activists and change makers. I'm joined by Representative Attica Scott, who serves in the Kentucky State House of Representatives. When she was elected in 2016, she was the first Black woman to serve in the House in 2 decades. Representative Scott is known as the architect of Breonna's Law, an ordinance which passed unanimously and was written in the wake of the murder of 26-year-old Breonna Taylor. I also have the honor of having Kristen Clarke with me, who is a longtime civil rights attorney and serves as the president and executive director of the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights Under Law, one of the country's leading civil rights organizations. Attorney Clarke has worked tirelessly to secure the access to the ballot box and to end voter discrimination. I am so thankful to you all for being with me this evening and being with all of us. I don't want to waste any time, so let's jump right in. You all stand at different points on the social impact landscape. From your perspectives in policy and activism and in law, what has 2020 shown to you about the issues that matter most to those you serve? And Representative Scott, I'll start with you.
Thank you so much. And I do want folks to know that, yes, Breonna's Law passed unanimously on Louisville Metro Council. I'm the primary sponsor of Breonna's Law for Kentucky. So next month, our legislative session begins, and we're working hard to make sure that Breonna's Law gets to be heard at the state level. We see all these states around us, including our sister Commonwealths, passing Breonna's Law and no-knock warrant. So we need to do the same right here in Kentucky. What 2020 has shown me is that people are very clear that they are not going to move forward accepting any of the hurt, the racism, the police violence that has been inflicted upon us. We are organizing, mobilizing, united together for protests, for policy change, and people are running for office at every single level, local, state, and national. And like Congresswoman Underwood said just a few minutes ago, are also applying to serve on boards and commissions. So I'm very clear as a state representative that the people that I serve want us to move differently as we move forward.
And Attorney Clarke, yourself?
Yeah, well, first, let me just say it's such a privilege and an honor to be here. And Representative Scott, thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your leadership. And we've got to keep fighting for justice for Breonna. I think what 2020 has shown me are a few things. One, this is a year in which Black people and people of color and women really wielded the power of protest and the power of their ballots in incredibly powerful ways. And it is literally the courage of those who have been marching and protesting throughout the year that has helped to keep a light shining brightly on the problems that are tearing at the fabric of our country: racial violence, police violence, and white supremacy. We have those who march and protest and put their bodies on the line to thank for the ground that we've made in those areas in 2020. But we go into 2021 knowing that there is a lot of unfinished business and that there is still work to do. The power of the ballot is something that was also wielded in incredibly powerful and transformative ways in 2020. We saw a historic and record number of Americans, women, and people of color turning out in every corner across our country, despite the fact that there is a pandemic and despite the fact that there were tremendous and unprecedented obstacles that voters were up against this season. Why? Because people really are embracing the power of their vote and understand that both protesting and voting are two powerful pathways to achieving the reform that is so long overdue in our country.
And this year, we definitely saw what happens when powerful protest is met with showing up to vote. in an amazing way. My next question is just about the work that goes into this, and it's fulfilling work. And 2020 has been definitely exhausting for all of us, and especially you all who work on the front lines. I'm wondering what motivates you to keep going.
Oh, I will start with that and say that being out at Injustice Square Park in downtown Louisville, right across the street from the mayor's office, is inspiring for me. It's a motivation. These are young people, really people of all ages who are out every single day and have been for 200 days nearly, standing up in protest for justice for Breonna Taylor. And no matter how much police violence they experience, no matter how much white hatred they experience, they keep showing up. 700 people arrested, get out and turn right back around and show up to continue to seek justice for Breonna Taylor. That inspires me. My daughter inspires me. We were arrested together, and the morning we were released, we went right across the street to stand with Breonna Taylor's family when they held their press conference, because my daughter was very clear that we don't move in fear. She says that to me often, and that's what inspires me, the fact that people like her are saying to people like me that we don't move in fear.
What keeps me motivated is the reminder that this work is a marathon. It's not a sprint. And I think that it's important for us to contextualize some of the victories that we have achieved this year. This was a challenging year, and it's not over yet, but we have a lot to celebrate in terms of the movement that we've made. I think about the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act, which passed in the House. We've got to get it to that finish line in the Senate, but we've got a comprehensive federal reform bill that would not have come to fruition but for people marching and protesting on the heels of the deaths of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and Ahmaud Arbery and so many others. We've got the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act, right? And work to do to get that bill to the finish line. But we saw John Lewis gavel that bill. It passed in the House, and we've got to keep pressing our demand to end voter suppression, to restore the Voting Rights Act, to do the hard work that will ensure that all communities enjoy voice and access to our democracy. So those small V victories, I think, are a reminder every day that if we keep pushing and pressing and fighting, that we can get to that finish line. It just requires resilience and endurance and courage to keep pushing forward.
Exactly. I like to say that the women in my family, especially my mother, and women, Black women especially, who inspire me, they always seem to use whatever their small circle, is to really just influence change and to move things forward. What is your advice to those who are just on the cusp of making change, who really want to use their own platforms to inspire change? Representative Scott, I'll start with you.
Sure. Well, for me, I see young people doing it all of the time already, and I love to see it because they're using their platforms to educate other young people about the issues that are important to them. They're educating, other young people about how to get involved with local government and state government. They are the ones who are getting folks, now that we're in this virtual world, to tune in to our Metro Council meetings and our legislative meetings to hear what's happening for themselves first and foremost. They're also the ones who are using their platforms to educate people about the opportunity to serve on boards and commissions and what it takes to run for office and the opportunity to apply to Emerge Kentucky, for example. So they're doing it, and I encourage other people, young people, older people, to continue to use your platforms to educate people, to mobilize people for action, to put information out there that's important for you, that you feel like other people could benefit from knowing. I saw it this year as people were encouraging folks to fill out the census and using their socials to make sure that people knew why the census was important, especially to Black and Latinx folks, and making sure that people made the connection between the census and who your representatives were at the local, state, and federal level, on the school board, et cetera. So please, continue to use those platforms as an educational tool and also a tool to mobilize people for action.
When I think about our country's history, I mean, young people have always been on the front line of change, transformation, and reform in our country. From the days of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee to the Freedom Rides to today's, work to push for gun reform, the work that's happening to push back against police brutality. It's always been young people who have put their bodies and their lives on the line to help push and demand for change and transformation in our country. So I encourage people to just keep up that fight as we go into 2021. This is a moment that I think presents opportunity for hope and change in ways that we haven't quite seen in the last several years, as we have turned the clock back on civil rights and racial justice in so many ways. But we've got a huge opportunity in front of us in 2021. We just need to take the opportunity to breathe, reflect on what we've been through collectively in 2020, really reflect on the wins and the gains that we've made, and then kind of, get some rest and recharge for 2021 and keep that work moving forward. And don't let up. There may be some people who feel, for example, that there are friendlier faces in their state legislature now or friendlier faces in the White House. And I think our job is to always agitate and demand for reform at the highest possible levels. And we keep pushing and we keep fighting until we reach that promised land.
Absolutely. We cannot take our foot off the gas, as I like to say. To your point of like reflecting and thinking about what's to come in 2021, talk a little bit about how you recharge and what your, a lot of people talk about self-care now. I know it's a buzzword, but it really is important during this time because it's been a traumatic year. So Representative Scott, I'd like to start with you. Like, how do you regroup, recharge, and reflect and so that you can move forward to fight another day?
Definitely. Well, I love sci-fi and fantasy. So, I spent the weekend binge watching Star Trek Discovery. I love Black sci-fi. Food is so important to me, just to be able to eat healthy. But then sometimes I just love me some, vanilla bean ice cream with some peanut brittle in it. Spending time with my kids. I have a son and a daughter, so being able to spend time with them, even though they're older, they're just an absolute joy to have in my life. Always remembering what brings me joy, even when faced with some of what we've experienced in 2021. I was diagnosed with COVID in September, and I never allowed it to take away my joy. So for me, part of that self-care is remembering what brings me joy. And I encourage other folks to always remember what brings you joy and center yourself around that.
And I think it's important that people kind of find the right self-care package that works for them. Something that I have been able to do during the pandemic is I found time to run again. And so I run just about every day, every opportunity that I can. Short runs, long runs, but it's an opportunity to unplug, to take eyes off the phone, take eyes off of the inbox, and just breathe and be. I enjoy reading, wrapping up a great biography on Frederick Douglass, and I've got a new one that I'm going to start on Malcolm X soon. But things that kind of take us out of the work for a moment so that we can refresh, recharge, reflect, I think are important. And I also have a son too, who's 16 and navigating Zoom school and an avid fan of soccer. And so getting some time to just be with him also helps me to kind of recharge and prepare for whatever lies ahead the next day.
Well, I can definitely agree that Zoom school is absolutely no joke. So hats off to anyone who is trying to deal with that. In our last minute, I just want to talk about next steps and what's the charge for 2021 as we look ahead. So what's your final message to the people and specifically to Black women, Representative Scott?
Oh, Black women, I love you. Please remain steadfast, lean on one another, hold one another close, tell one another that you love each other. Keep showing up in the ways that make sense for you. Keep protesting, keep pushing for good public policy, and definitely put your name on the ballot to run for office at every single level or apply to serve on a board or commission. We need you. We need you desperately.
And yeah, I have been inspired and empowered by the circles of Black women that I have been working with and organizing with all year. We are putting in work in a really serious way. I think it's important that we take time to congratulate each other, to recognize each other, to give ourselves a pat on the back. But 2021, we have got work to do to fight voter suppression, to restore civil rights, which have become so broken in our country over the past 4 years, to breathe life back into our federal agencies, the Department of Education, HUD, Civil Rights Division, and more. And I think that Black women will figure prominently in that important work that lies ahead.
Thank you, ladies, so much for joining me, Representative Scott and Attorney Clarke. Thank you. And I will release it back to you, my sister Glenda.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing your story. And thank you, Tanya, for moderating that conversation. I'm so proud to introduce a true rising star, Congresswoman-elect Nikema Williams, who was recently elected to serve in Congressman John Lewis's former seat. She was elected to be the president of the freshman class by her colleagues in the House Democratic Caucus. In the words of John Lewis, we can't wait to see the good trouble that Nikema Williams is getting ready to get in to help us move this country to higher heights.
Thank you so much to Higher Heights for organizing this event. I'm pleased to be here with you this evening, even if virtually. I'm so looking forward to being with you all in person again soon when it's safe to do so, because it is so important to continue to show up for Black women and support one another. Our fellowship just can't be replaced. I am Nikema Williams, and I have the absolute honor to be the Congresswoman-elect for Georgia's 5th Congressional District, the seat previously held by my friend and mentor, John Lewis. You all supported my campaign, and I know that I wouldn't be here in DC right now at freshman orientation without you. I am also the first Black woman ever to serve as chair of the Democratic Party of Georgia, so I'm feeling right at home tonight, y'all. As you know, we're at a crucial moment in our democracy. For 4 years, Americans were subject to outgoing President Trump's baseless conspiracy theories undermining our democracy. And y'all, he hasn't stopped. Earlier today, one of Trump's lawyers said Chris Krebs should be taken out at dawn and shot because Krebs said that our elections were secure. Thankfully, 81 million Americans realized that our democracy was on the ballot and voted for President-elect Joe Biden and my soror, Vice President-elect Kamala Harris. President-elect Joe Biden owes a tremendous debt of gratitude to Black women because we turned out and we turned out in force. 91% of us voted for Biden, proving that now, more than ever, Black women are the backbone of not just our country, but our Democratic Party and our democracy. And Black women in Georgia will turn out for Jon Ossoff and Reverend Raphael Warnock on January 5th when Georgia delivers the control of the United States Senate to Democrats. Harris's victory in particular means the world to me, and not just because she's my soror, but because David Perdue, one of the 2 U.S. senators from Georgia that we will defeat, literally mocked Kamala for her name. The way she was treated reminded me of when I first ran for office. Someone literally told me that I should use the name Nikki and not Nikema because more people would be willing to vote for me in different parts of town if they didn't know that my name was Nikema. So, I know that Kamala's victory has opened so many doors for so many little girls who feel like they've been silenced or told that they couldn't be who they are. I've seen up close and personal the inequalities that Black women face in this country. I worked for Planned Parenthood Southeast for 10 years, promoting reproductive health in Georgia, Alabama, and Mississippi. And every day, I saw tragedies of Black women not being able to control their own bodies. And for Black moms to be in Georgia, the inequalities that we face are even more shocking. The maternal mortality rate for Black women is six times the national average for white women. Y'all, more Black women in Georgia die within 1 year of childbirth than in third world countries. This is why I ran for Congress and why we need to support Black women running for office. Because who we elect matters. Representation matters. Our government doesn't believe women, and Black women in particular. We can be trusted. We should be trusted with our own bodies. I will work tirelessly to make sure that we are trusted with our bodies, we're trusted with our autonomy, but more than that, I want Black women to thrive. Biden and Harris are breaking some of the highest glass ceilings with their victory and appointments. When we come together, we make sure that a government that wasn't built by us or for us works for us. So I ask that all women and the organizations here in the room keep fighting, y'all. Keep going. As I said earlier, we have one more fight right here in Georgia. And I know that Democrats have men on the ballot. However, there are 2 pro-choice candidates. There are 2 candidates who stand and trust Black women. So let's be clear. I will not let them forget it. Once again, thanks to Higher Heights and to Emily's List, Emerge, and Vote Pro-Choice for hosting this event and always being in my corner and supporting Black women across this country. Thank you.
A big thank you to, since she started it, my star, Nikema Williams. For those who are like, what are y'all talking about? We are all members of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. And so she's clearly a proud member, and I'm very proud of Nikema Williams' leadership. I have the distinct pleasure for this last conversation this evening to be in conversation with my colleagues from Emily's List Emerge. So joining us is Angelique Cannon. I want to call her Angelique Cannon, the Vice President of Development for Emily's List. And welcome back, Ashanti Golar, President of Emerge. Hey, ladies.
Hi.
Hey.
Well, I have to say, I'm not an AKA, but I am from Georgia. So, I have a big, big shout out to Nikema Williams for that.
I am not an AKA, and I am not from Georgia.
It's fine. It's just, she said it twice, so I was like, I got to say something. And so one of the things that we didn't prompt those watching is I see some of us are posting in our social feeds. So if you're posting, use hashtag Black Women Lead and share with your network the conversation we're having tonight. So tonight, we are going to talk a little bit about how we got here. Higher Heights has been on this road to 2020 for the last 8 years. It was about building for this moment, but it is also more importantly about building beyond 2020. This is not time to take our foot off the gas. It is actually time to accelerate this work moving forward. Black women, I'm waiting for y'all to see Ashanti's face when I do this, right? Everybody, once again, is thanking Black women and thanking us not only for our continued contributions at the ballot, but also our continued contributions to this democracy. Black women have always been the defenders of our homes, our communities, and our nations. The everyday Black women, from our moms and our grandmoms to those who actually have stepped off the sidelines, who are civic leaders, who are activists, who have decided to run for office from school board all the way now to the White House. We put more into this democracy than we get back. And so it is about the work moving forward. We've seen in 2020 how Black women lead. When we lead, we build inclusive tables from the Black women mayors across this country who have been boldly leading during COVID-19 and responding to the uprising in their cities, to, the Tish James of the world, the Attorney General of New York. These women are leading in the legacy of Shirley Chisholm, truly unbought and embossed. And that's the work of Higher Heights. I want to thank Higher Heights in our community, those who are watching tonight, for investing your time, talent, and treasures, for amplifying Black women's leadership. It is that together we were able to help Black women to vote, run, win, and lead. But I look forward to the work ahead. Ashanti, what is your reflection of this moment?
This is a really big moment. And again, thank you, Glenda, for everything that you have done. At Emerge, we're actually celebrating our 15-year anniversary, and we're looking towards the next 15. And when we did our anniversary event, we actually had a conversation with Mayor London Breed of San Francisco and Malia Cohen, who was on the San Francisco Board of Equalization. And both of them talked about Senator Harris, Vice President-elect Harris, and how she encouraged both of them to run for office. And it really just made me think about the importance of Black women supporting Black women lifting up Black women reaching back to making sure that they're bringing other Black women along. And that's why I'm just so excited about our future with all the leaders that we have during this time. Glenda and I have been on so many panels, and people ask, well, is this just, a wave of Black women running? And it's not a wave, it's a movement. Even with us celebrating, 100 years of the 19th Amendment in 2020, it was only 100 years for some women. It wasn't 100 years for Black, Brown, and Indigenous women. So what you see is us taking our rightful seats at the table, our rightful places in leadership. And during the most crucial, the most important times in our country, we've seen Black women lead during the pandemic. We've seen them lead during racial injustice. And this is the leadership that's going to get our country back on track and our communities back on track, particularly at the state and local level. And I'm just truly excited about what's to come for Black women, because we're really just getting started.
Angelique, what is your reflection in this moment?
I think I would echo the same thing that Ashanti said. Here at Emily's List, we believe that, government works best when it reflects people who it represents. And to that end, we continue to build pipelines of diverse talent here at Emily's List through our training and community engagement and our expansion of our state and local teams in recent years. And the work that we did this year, intentionally working with and seeking out Black women to run for office, both state and local levels and federal level, that we had, really trying to, encourage and support Black women who are running for office, because, we truly make the difference here in representing our communities when we're in office. And I loved what Lauren Underwood was saying. I just wrote it down, and she's like, we need you to run for whatever you want to run for. So I think this is something that Emily's List has been supporting for a long time, and something I'm really excited about what we're going to continue to do in the future, and continue to build the pipeline as we move forward.
Yeah, absolutely. At the end of the day, we had a record number of Black women running for office, particularly for the United States House of Representatives. We saw an increase from 2018 when we saw a record number. But we also know that we had more losses than wins. And as we debrief here at Higher Heights, we always talk about there is actually wins in those losses, because we saw Black women running in different types of districts. We were running in rural districts, suburban districts. We had veterans. We had, immigrants running for office. We had young, moms with young children running for office. And so they've paved the pathway for the next, or as I always say, is that, as you know, women have obstacles and man-made obstacles and institutional barriers that are often in their way. In each election cycle, we've had women jump over those barriers, crash through those barriers, knock down those institutional obstacles for the next class, and hopefully some of them deciding to run for office again. I'm all gonna be all off script, y'all. They're gonna be like, none of this is in the script, but hey. I wanna know, because we've talked a little bit about these bold women that have ran on a local level, state level, and on a federal level. But tell me where you were when you found out that they announced Kamala Harris and Joe Biden were the presumptive nominee. I mean, the presumptive winners.
Oh, do you mind if I go first on this one, Ashanti?
Go for it.
I don't know if people know. So I was actually Kamala's finance director for the primary last year. So it had such a special meaning to me. One, for her to be announced as a VP, but the other was standing in front. I have two boys, one's 15 and one is 17. And my 15-year-old and I, it was Saturday. And, I'd been waiting around. And I was like, it's going to take forever. We are going to go run some errands that we can run, mask, everything. And all of a sudden, my 15-year-old grabs me and we're standing literally in front of the television watching as they announce it. And, at that point, I thought to myself, this is truly, truly amazing, the country that we live in and the work that Kamala's going to do. So I was basically standing there like in leggings, a little bit of tears coming down, standing there with my 15-year-old son who felt an enormous joy and pride at watching Kamala be announced the winner and next VP of the country. It was amazing.
So mine is really not that exciting. I had my TV on and then I was like, let me start to do this laundry. So I went to go do my laundry and it got called while I was doing my laundry. So when I came back, I saw it, my phone was going crazy. And of course, it was just magic. And I think the most important text I got was from my aunt who told me like my nieces and my nephews were like running around the house, like yelling, Joe, Kamala. And that meant so much to me, particularly for my niece. In 2016, after Secretary Clinton lost, I asked her, Princess, would you ever want to be president? And she said, no, TT Shani, they make it too hard for girls. They were so mean to Miss Hillary. So 4 years later, to see her being able to see someone who looks like her in the White House, I think that is so important. And just the work that all of our organizations do every day to show young Black girls, young Indian girls, young Muslim girls, young Latinas that you have a place in politics, because it also hurt my heart that they had to see how attacked Vice President-elect Harris was. And those attacks are real. Those are what, every woman of color who runs for office has to deal with. And, I was talking to a reporter for an interview, and he asked me, when Black women are talking about, Kamala, he's like, there's just something different. There's something different than how you all talked about Barack. Like, you love Barack, but there's something different about Kamala. And I'm like, why? He's like, why? And I say, because we know that it was not easy for her to get here. We know everything that she had to go through. Everyone saw her debate Pence. Welcome to what Black women have to deal with every day in professional environments. Y'all watch it for a couple of hours. For us, it is like hours a day. So it was just really magical. And I just can't wait till inauguration and to see her get sworn in.
Ashanti, I think you're right. I think what you can say to people is that when we see Kamala, we see a little bit of ourselves, if not our whole selves, in her and all of her experiences as well. We've experienced what she's experienced. So.
The one thing that I appreciate is that Kamala Harris's superpower was her multiple identities, which is what you said, is we all can see a piece of ourselves. Women of color, Black women, daughters of immigrants, someone that went to a historically Black college who joined a historically Black Greek letter organization, who was a caregiver. Like, there's just pieces of her story that we all can see. And I had been home all week, right? And then I go and run and get a dozen eggs, like literally down the street. Like, I was 2 minutes away from my house. I'm like, what? Do I really need these eggs right now? But for us at Higher Heights, it was a full circle moment. We were proud to be supporters of Kamala Harris's run for U.S. Senate. We were proud to stand with her on her bid for president. And we certainly were very proud to advocate and support her as the vice president, presidential candidate. At the end of the day, as I mentioned, her qualifications and her lived experience met this moment in history. And as she steps into that Oval Office on January 20th as vice president, after being sworn in, she is as Maya Angelou once wrote, is she'll stand as one, but she'll bring 10,000. And I'm so excited about her leadership. And that's absolutely how Black women lead. But she's the roadmap. So it is all now about coordinating with partners like Emily's List, Emerge, Vote Pro-Choice, and our other partners to develop the blueprint and pathway forward. Black women are still underrepresented and underserved in this country. And so Ashanti, what is the plan forward with Emily's, with Emerge?
Our next plan forward, we're planning the next 15 years, and it's going to focus on the new American majority. And we know that Black women are a part of the new American majority. So I'm really excited about us centering our work on women of color, LGBTQ women, unmarried women, young women. It's the future of politics. And it's going to be woven through everything that we do, continuing with our recruitment, with our training. We will continue to do a lot of work in the South. I was very passionate about us going to the South because I knew that we would see more Black women elected. And I actually got really teary-eyed last week when I was having a conversation with our Emerge Arkansas affiliate, because one of our alums who got elected there, she's the first Black woman on the city council, and she told us that it used to be a sundown town. And I'm just like, 2020, and they're seeing their first Black woman elected on the city council in that city in Arkansas. We have so much work to do. I say this work doesn't have an end date. And at Emerge, we are all in on seeing more Black women elected at all levels of office all across the country.
Great. I mean, I would have to say the same goes here at Emily's List. I think, Glenda, you just said it. I mean, we feel here that a loss is another step in the journey for women who ran this past year. And we had some really great women of color and Black women who ran. So we're looking forward to not only continuing what we did last cycle or a couple of months ago, but also digging in deeper and really going out and targeting and getting women of color in and supporting these women in their run, whether it's at the local level, the state level, or the federal level.
And then we are excited to continue to partner with Emily's List, Emerge, and Vote Pro-Choice, because we are going to expand Black women's political leadership. And that's from the voting booth to elected office. It is about expanding the opportunities for Attica Scott's next step in her leadership journey. It's finding that Black woman who is watching tonight, who wasn't quite ready to drop in the chat they want to run for office. It is identifying and helping you on your journey. And it is about ensuring that we create the environment for our champions to lead. And that brings us to our last speaker of the night, Congresswoman Lucy Underwood. Lucy McBath. Ran for re-election, y'all, in Congress to fight for the families of Georgia's 6th district. After 30 years working as a Delta flight attendant, Lucy McBath sought public office after her son, Jordan Davis, was shot and killed at a gas station in Florida for playing music too loudly in 2012. She used the pain of losing her child to catapult her activism into elected office. And since then, she has been an advocate for gun safety reforms and legislation that will make American communities across this country safer. We're so grateful that we will continue to have the steady and bold leadership of Congresswoman Lucy McBath in the 117th Congress next year. Here's a message from her.
Hello, thank you so much to Higher Heights, Emily's List, Emerge, and Vote Pro-Choice for all the work that you do. I am Congresswoman Lucy McBath, and I represent Georgia's 6th Congressional District. And I just got reelected, and I am so grateful to hold a seat that was once held by Newt Gingrich. And I am the first Democrat since 1979 to hold this seat in Georgia, and most assuredly the first minority in the history of Georgia to ever hold this seat. And very excited. I ran on a gun safety platform and also a healthcare platform. I lost my son Jordan in the National Loud Music killing in November 23rd, 2012. And that is what catapulted me to really begin to talk about gun safety and making sure that our communities were protected and safe. Started challenging our leaders, federal leaders, and state and local leaders and clergy as to why these kinds of tragedies were still continuing to happen. And I decided to stand up and run for office myself because I recognized that not enough was being done for keeping our communities safe, so that no one would have to be me, that no one would suffer the same tragedy and loss that I had suffered with losing my son Jordan. But when I first stood up to run for office, being a Black woman, people said to me, well, you know, you're a Black woman trying to run in a predominantly white district that has never ever held a minority in that seat, and you're running in ruby red Georgia on a gun safety platform, and that is political suicide. You don't know anything about running for office. You've never held office before, and you know, you're the most unlikely candidate. And that's what I heard over and over again. And yes, it's even sad to say that there were women of color who told me that I should wait, and that I should wait for my turn, and I should wait a couple of years and wait till the numbers were better, wait till the climate was better. But I decided that if anything was going to happen, I was not going to stand by and watch one more person die by unnecessary gun violence, and that our federal legislators and America do nothing about it. And I decided that I was going to throw my hat in the ring because it was more of a tragedy not to even try. And when we ran Higher Heights, you were there for me. Emily's List, Emerge, and Vote Pro-Choice. You were some of the very first organizations who supported me, who stood with me, and who said it didn't matter that I hadn't run for office, but that you believed in me and you believed in my vision to change a climate and to create policy that was good for all of America. And I'm so excited to say that, you know, we're looking at a climate now where Black women are truly leading. I was excited to be part of a class, a freshman class, that had the most numbers of women that were ever elected at one time, and the most numbers of women of color that were ever elected, the most diverse class in the history of Congress. And you helped me do that. You helped me to achieve that, as you are doing for women all around the country, all over, helping to fill the gap for the resources and the time and the energy and the manpower that they need to take their place at the table. So I'm so grateful for all that you have accomplished. And you are the leaders charging us to stand in our place. And I'm just really grateful because I know that women, helping women lead, is what we need at a time like this. Women are integral parts of our communities, our homes and our communities. We're leaders in our own communities, and we are taking all of the energy and the resources and the intellect that we have, and all the skills and the talents that we have been building over years, and using those for the people that we care about the most, and using those skills and talents to create and stimulate change for democracy. So thank you, ladies. Thank you for all of your belief in my vision and belief in my ability. Me, just a plain old simple mom on a mission, and you helped me to accomplish my mission. And I look forward to helping you to accomplish the mission of so many more women like me, helping us to stand up and to persevere and to take our place and to take our power back and make sure that democracy works for every single one of us, because our futures really do depend on it, and there truly is a lot at stake. So thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you, Lucy McBath, for being a mom on a mission. Well, the evening has come to a close. What an amazing opportunity to gather, may it be virtually, to celebrate Black women's political leadership. So thank you for taking the time to be in community with us tonight, to hear a little bit about the Black women who are leading, from our activists to our civil rights attorneys, to our elected leaders, and to our newly elected women who are headed to the Hill. Thank you again for the Higher Heights, Emily's List, Emerge, and Vote Pro-Choice communities for coming together once again to pull together a powerful conversation about when #BlackWomenLead. Have a great night.